What if I told you that something as simple as a crystal, lying silently in your hand, could subtly influence the electrical activity inside your brain? Not magic, not fantasy, but a phenomenon rooted somewhere between physics, psychology, and human perception. Because your brain is not just thinking, it is constantly vibrating, pulsing, producing electrical waves, and crystals? They are not just stones, they are stable, geometric structures that hold and emit consistent vibrational patterns. So the real question is not, do crystals work? The real question is, how do they interact with you? Let's break this down, deeply and honestly. No fluff. No blind belief. Just raw understanding. Your brain operates on different frequencies, known as brain waves: beta for focus and alertness, alpha for relaxation, theta for deep meditation and creativity, delta for deep sleep and healing. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, is tied to these electrical rhythms. Now imagine introducing an external frequency, something stable, consistent, and structured, into this dynamic system. That is where crystals come in. Crystals are formed under intense pressure and heat over thousands, even millions of years. Their atomic structure is highly ordered. This means their internal vibrations are stable and predictable. Unlike the human brain, which is chaotic and constantly shifting, crystals are consistent. This consistency is the key. When you bring a crystal close to your body, especially your skin, there is a subtle interaction, not something dramatic. Not something you can immediately measure with your eyes. But your body is electrical. Your brain sends signals through neurons using electrical impulses. Your heart produces an electromagnetic field. So when a stable frequency comes into proximity with a fluctuating system, there is a phenomenon called entrainment. Entrainment means one system begins to sync with another. This is not spiritual theory. This is observed in science. For example, when two pendulum clocks are placed near each other, they eventually synchronize. Similarly, your brain waves can begin to align, even slightly, with external rhythmic or vibrational patterns. Now here's where it gets interesting. Different crystals have different internal structures, and therefore, different vibrational characteristics. Quartz, for example, is used in watches and electronics because of its ability to maintain precise frequency. That's not belief. That's engineering. So when people use clear quartz during meditation, what they are essentially doing is introducing a stabilizing frequency into their mental state. This can help the brain shift from high beta waves, which are linked to stress and overthinking, into alpha waves, which are calmer and more balanced. Now, does the crystal directly change your brain? Not exactly. It acts more like a tuning fork. When you strike a tuning fork near another of the same frequency, the second one begins to vibrate too. In the same way, crystals can act as subtle anchors, helping your mind settle into a certain state. But here's the raw truth that most people won't tell you. Crystals alone do nothing if your mind is completely disconnected. Your intention, your focus, your awareness, these amplify the effect. Because your brain is not passive. It is constantly interpreting, responding, adjusting. When you hold a crystal and believe it will calm you, your brain begins to shift. Not because of blind belief, but because attention itself changes neural activity. This is where psychology meets physics. The crystal provides a physical anchor, your mind provides direction. Together, they create a feedback loop. You focus, your brain waves begin to slow, the crystal's stable structure reinforces that calmness. Your body relaxes, your breathing deepens, your brain shifts further into alpha or theta. And suddenly, you feel different. Not because something external fixed you, but because something external helped you access a state that was already within you. Now let's go even deeper. Certain crystals are associated with specific effects, like amethyst for calmness, or black tourmaline for grounding. Scientifically, we cannot fully prove that each crystal has a unique psychological effect, but what we do know is this. Color, texture, temperature, and symbolic meaning all influence the brain. A cool, smooth, purple stone held in your hand, in a quiet environment, signals safety, calmness, stillness. Your brain responds accordingly. This shifts your nervous system from fight or flight into rest and digest. And when that happens, your brain waves naturally slow down. So is it the crystal? Or is it your brain responding to the experience of the crystal? The honest answer is both. Because human perception is powerful, and the brain does not separate real from perceived as strictly as we think. If something consistently helps you relax, focus, or feel grounded, your brain begins to associate it with that state. Over time, just holding the crystal can trigger that shift. This is conditioning, this is neuroplasticity. And this is why some people feel profound effects, while others feel nothing at all. It depends on awareness, sensitivity, and engagement. So crystals are not magic shortcuts, they are tools. Subtle, silent, but powerful, when used with understanding. Now let's go deeper, beyond theory, into application. Because understanding is powerful, but experience is transformation. Most people make one critical mistake with crystals: they treat them like objects, instead of interfaces. A crystal is not meant to work on you. It is meant to work with you. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment, picking up signals, patterns, sensations, and when you consciously introduce a crystal into that environment, you are giving your brain a reference point. A signal that says, slow down. Focus here. Shift state. This is where intentional use begins. When you hold a crystal during meditation, don't just hold it passively, bring your awareness into it. Feel its temperature, its texture, its weight. Notice how your breathing changes, notice how your thoughts begin to slow. Because awareness itself starts to regulate your brain waves. And the crystal, it keeps you anchored, so your mind doesn't drift back into chaos. Now let's talk about something even more powerful: placement. Different areas of your body respond differently to sensory input. When you place a crystal near your forehead, you are bringing awareness closer to your prefrontal cortex, the center of focus and higher thinking. When you hold it near your heart, your emotional state becomes more stable, your breathing more rhythmic. When you keep it in your pocket, it becomes a subconscious anchor, subtly influencing your state throughout the day. This is not about energy fields in a mystical sense. This is about how your brain maps physical sensations to internal states. And once that mapping is created, it becomes automatic. Now here's something very few people understand. Repetition creates response. The more consistently you use a crystal while entering a calm or focused state, the faster your brain will return to that state in the future. Eventually, you won't even need deep meditation, just holding the crystal will trigger the shift. That is neural conditioning at its finest. Now let's address the question everyone asks. Which crystal should I wear? The truth is, not every crystal is for everyone. Your current mental state, your emotional patterns, your lifestyle, all of these matter. If your mind is constantly racing, overstimulated, distracted, you need crystals that slow you down. If you feel heavy, unmotivated, low energy, you need crystals that activate and uplift. If you feel emotionally unstable, overwhelmed, you need crystals that stabilize and ground. This is why random selection doesn't work. Because crystals are not trends, they are tools for alignment. And alignment is personal. That's why proper guidance becomes important. Because wearing the wrong crystal, or using it without understanding, can feel like nothing is happening. But when the right crystal matches your current state, the shift feels natural, effortless, almost immediate. Now let's take it one step further. Your environment also plays a role. If you surround yourself with chaos, noise, constant stimulation, even the most powerful crystal will struggle to make an impact. But when you combine right crystal, right intention, right environment, your brain begins to reorganize itself. Slowly, subtly, but consistently. Your thoughts become clearer, your reactions become calmer, your focus becomes sharper. And over time, you don't just feel different. You become different. Now here's what most people won't tell you. Crystals are not about dependency, they are about awakening your own control over your mind. They don't give you power, they remind you that you already have it. But only if you use them with understanding. If you're serious about choosing the right crystal for your mind, your energy, your life, there is a way to get personal guidance. In the description, you'll find contact details where you can reach out for crystal consultation, so you don't guess, you choose accurately. And if you want to go even deeper into this knowledge, there is something coming. A complete crystal guide, designed to help you understand, select, and use crystals the right way. When it launches, those who are part of the inner group will receive a special discount. Because real knowledge should reach the right people first. If you want access to that, if you want to be part of that circle, you'll find the WhatsApp details in the description. Join there, and step into a space where you don't just collect crystals, you understand them.